about investing fully in full life system.
Other than one entangling.
Quite early yet, really.
His fascists onto the streets of Newcastle, and we made sure that they didn't do that. I've seen in the news this morning that poor Tommy Robinson is having to flee from the UK and become a refugee. So fantastic work that we've done there. Right, who's ready to get warmed up with a bit of a song? Yeah, we're gonna make it a real positive vibe today. So we're gonna start off with the wonderful Bethany Ellen Coyle, accompanied by Ron Brown. So, get your singing voices going. I'm sure you're going to be able to join in at least with the chorus.
Welcome, everybody. Do you feel like singing? Yeah. Una mattina mi son svegliato. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina mi son svegliato. We are Geordies and we're united. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. We are united against the fascists. We stand in solidarity. We are Geordies, we're black and white, yeah. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Every color, creed and culture stand together in unity. We are comrades and we're fighting. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. We are fighting for liberation and we will not be denied. Now I think you need to get moving. Come on, get moving, it's freezing. Should we dance? Yay! Ready? 1, 2, 3. We are women and men and we are dancing. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. We are dancing in unity, in unity. And we will not be denied. We are comrades, let's stamp, and we are stamping. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. We are stamping to keep warm, it's freezing. Hooray! We stand in community. La mattina mi son svegliato. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina mi son svegliato e ho trovato l'invaso. Let's have one for the waspies. You ready? We are waspies and we are fighting. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. We are fighting for our pensions and we will not be denied. The way we dress is not your business. Oh, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, 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 you cannot curb religion.
Thank you, Bethany. Big hand for Bethany. I was going to ask everybody to move over here, but I've just realised people are standing over there for the bit of sunshine that we've got, aren't they? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Right, okay, my name's Tony Dowling. I'll be introducing some of the speakers today. I'm from Newcastle Unites, and my co-host is Janice here from Stand Up to Racism North East. We'll be sharing that load. So, first of all, I'm going to bring up, I want a really, really, really big round of applause, because those people who were here back in September at this fantastic, several thousand people here in the sunshine then as well, but the sunshine was down this side as well. We had a fantastic day, and that day was led by Mez Nisa Shah. So put your hands together for Mez from Newcastle Unites. Mez.
Well, thank you, you kind people. I like the way everyone stood at the side here trying to keep warm. Lovely. So let's warm up. A couple of chants maybe, because speeches, I don't have a great deal to say. Whose streets? Our streets. Whose streets? Our streets. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Whose streets? Our streets. Whose streets? Our streets. Lovely, so we've done a bit of dancing, we've done a bit of chanting and warmed up. The reason I am here, as Tony very kindly introduced me, I am the secretary of a wonderful anti-racist organisation called Newcastle Unites. And many of you will be aware, we are going to London on the 28th of March. And I am here to encourage as many of you to come and join us. We will be putting on transport in the form of coaches to get there, and information will be shared through Stand Up to Racism and Newcastle Unites' social media. I actually had the pleasure of hosting the demo on the 27th of September, and that actually filled me full of hope that we have a really, really good chance of taking on the racist fascists and beating them. Newcastle is the place I've called home for over 4 decades. We're not having it here. Whose streets? Our streets. Whose streets? Our streets. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Come on, guys, have you not had your breakfast? Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Whose streets? Our streets. Whose streets? Our streets. Wonderful, thank you so much, you beautiful people, and I hope to see you on the 28th in London. Love.
Hi guys, I have the absolute pleasure of introducing Rob Murthwaite. Rob Murthwaite, who is the convener for Stand Up to Racism. I'll say that again because we were a little bit interrupted there by a dickhead. I will have the great honour of introducing Rob Murthwaite, who is the convener for Stand Up to Racism.
Hold that a second.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for being here, everybody. And it's quite right, isn't it? We're here on the Valentine's Day to celebrate our message of love and unity. A message of love and unity against the message of hatred and division peddled by the likes of the Nazi Tommy Robinson and the racist Nigel Farage and the rest of the far right here and around the world. And actually we know who the best friends of Robinson and Farage are. It's that absolute piece of, I can't use the word, Donald Trump and his best mate, the richest bigot in the world, Elon Musk. And though they've got friends like that, Tommy Robinson and Farage here, they've got friends like Trump and Musk. We've got something far more powerful. We've got millions and millions of people who hate them and hate what they stand for. And actually, we saw a glimpse of that, didn't we, in Minneapolis? And actually, they chased ICE out of Minneapolis, and Farage intends to bring ICE here. And our message to Farage and the far right in general, you bring them here and you're going to get the same treatment you got in Minneapolis and Minnesota. We're not going to tolerate it, actually. And it's more than just a rally today, actually, because I say we outnumber them, and we do. There's a famous quote from Malcolm X, right? Malcolm X said, "We are never outnumbered, but we are sometimes out-organised." And today is about more than just a show of unity and love, actually. It's an opportunity for everybody here to begin to get involved in the process of organising, because organise we must. We must organise for the 28th of March demonstration in central London, and we've got transport going down from across the northeast. You can get the details on the stall, the Stand Up to Racism northeast stall at the front of the platform. But more importantly, we've got thousands of stickers, thousands of flyers, hundreds of posters on that stall. At the end of this rally, we don't want to have any left. Take them away. They've got their flags of hate and division. We want our stickers of love and unity to be plastered all over Newcastle and the northeast. So it's great that you're here today, and I hope you're going to come on the 28th of March. But between now and then, let's get organised. Join us. Together, we can beat them. Solidarity.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks very much. And we're saying yes.
50,000 deportations. What about that?
We'll let them have a few words. Okay. If you want to go and have a word with him, that's fine. Go and have a few words with him. We're not going to interrupt. Okay. Thanks for that, Rob. And I don't know whether it's Mohammed Shafiq here from PCS yet. If not, I'm going to ask Pam to pop up in a moment. But we'll do a couple of chants while I'm inviting Pam to come up and speak. And we'll do, I'll say love Newcastle, you say hate racism, okay? Love Newcastle!
Hate racism!
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 Thanks very much. Okay, so Pam's here from Newcastle Stop the War Coalition. Stop the War Coalition is one of the organisations, one of the very, very many organisations that are supporting the Together Alliance, organising the national demonstration in London on March the 28th. We hope everybody here will find a way to get to London on March the 28th so that we can show the fascists, show Tommy Robson that we can mobilise hundreds of thousands of people as well in this country. So please pick a big hand for Pam Wortley for Newcastle Stop the War Coalition. Pam.
Thank you. The Stop the War Coalition is committed to preventing and ending all wars. The link between war and racism is undeniable. Wars destroy lives, destabilise regions, fuel terrorism and generate racism. Governments justify war by creating enemies. People of different religions, cultures or skin colours are dehumanised as threats or terrorists. Racism inevitably thrives. The Stop the War Coalition opposes all forms of racism, including Islamophobia, anti-Semitism and the denial of Palestinian rights. Since the launch of the so-called War on Terror, Stop the War has led mass protests against the appalling illegal wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya and Syria, Muslim-majority countries, all failed military interventions, the world more dangerous. The social and economic fabric of these countries destroyed, billions wasted, millions killed or displaced, creating refugees, people forced to flee the very conflicts our government supported. Then, with blatant hypocrisy, it claims there's no room for them. That's the cruel irony. Ukrainian refugees are rightly welcomed, but black and brown refugees fleeing other wars are met with hostility. All refugees are welcome here. The solution isn't higher walls. The solution is to end the wars that force people to flee. The billions spent on bombs and nuclear weapons should be used for the NHS, housing, climate action, fighting poverty. and yes, supporting refugees. As for Palestine and the unbearable, brutal live-streamed genocide, Stop the War with the Palestine Solidarity Campaign has led huge protests against our government's support for Israel's apartheid regime with its cruel ethnic cleansing and expansion into the West Bank, Lebanon and Syria. Would our government stay silent if Palestinians were white? Western governments consistently side with those who look like them. Racism is not accidental. It divides us, distracts us and protects the powerful. We reject racist scapegoating. Let's challenge the filthy rich, landlords, bosses and corporations profiting from misery. In this time of economic hardship and social division, solidarity starts here in our communities, with those who grow our food, teach our children and keep our services running. There has never been a more urgent time to stand up to racism. Peace is a radical act against racism, recognising the dignity of all and rejecting violence. To combat racism, we must oppose war. So, join the Stop the War Coalition.
Thank you, Pam. I'm now introducing Christine Jackson, who's the branch secretary of Newcastle City Unison, and we are very, very grateful to the Northern TUC who are supporting us. Hooray! Christine?
Comrades, thank you. Christine Jackson from Unison Newcastle City branch. Yesterday was actually my first day as branch secretary at Unison Newcastle City, and I think actually there's no better time in these most challenging times to be a trade unionist, because as a trade unionist I get to live and work for unity, not just as a concept or a fancy slogan, but as a blueprint for how working people survive, organise and win. We all know that racism, misogyny, homophobia, biphobia, transphobia and all forms of oppression manifest for the same reason, to divide us. Look around you today. Look how many we are. We are strength in depth, in numbers and most importantly in diversity. It demonstrates the truth that they would have us forget, that we have far more in common than that which divides us. We have common goals. We have common struggles. We work for a living. We struggle with bills and rely on public services. We want safe workplaces, secure housing, decent healthcare and a future where we can all live with dignity. Those shared needs matter far more than the differences that they would weaponise. They tell us that migrant workers are to blame for low pay and worsening living standards, and that trans people are somehow to blame for just about everything else. The lies are designed to distract us from the truth. Chronic and criminal underfunding of public sector services, privatisation, inequality, corporate greed, and the rich getting richer as they reap their rewards from the divisions they sow. We see discrimination play out every day in our workplaces, where black workers are disciplined more harshly and monitored more closely, and migrant workers are exploited and silenced through fear. Trans workers are facing indignities, harassment and exclusion, and all too often they stand by, hoping that we won't stand together. Our response must always be collective, a kind of solidarity that leaves nobody behind. There is no working class unity that treats anyone as disposable. If one of us is targeted today, another will be targeted tomorrow, and the next day it will be me. History teaches us as much. The real threat to working people is a political system that protects wealth while scapegoating the most marginalised. We cannot fight that system unless we stand shoulder to shoulder, and that's why anti-racism and trade unionism belong together. They are the same thing: social justice, collective struggle, and ultimately collective liberation. Here in Newcastle, a city with a proud history of collectivism and solidarity, we are sending a clear message that we will not let hate divide us, we will not let fear be weaponised, and we will not allow anyone to be sacrificed for political gain. So let today be more than a rally, let it be a commitment. a commitment to organise ourselves, a commitment to defend each other, a commitment to challenge racism and all forms of hate and oppression wherever they appear, be that our workplaces, in our unions, in our streets, in our communities, in our politics. Because when we focus on what we share in common, fear loses its deadly grip. When we organise around our common goals, division will fail. And when workers stand united, all of us united, we are unstoppable.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Unison. Fantastic for that. Thank you. Let's have a go at that chant again. I'll do love, you do Newcastle, I'll do hate, and you say racism. How does that work? That might work a bit better, doesn't it? Love, hate, love, hate, love, hate, love, hate, 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 love. Brilliant. Okay, we've got our next speaker. We thought perhaps he got lost, perhaps, but he's managed to find his way up here from Manchester. It's the PCS Union, Public Commercial Services Union, National Black Members Chair, Mohammed Shafiq. Please give a big hand all the way from Manchester.
Friends, sisters and brothers, I'm proud to stand here in solidarity with Stand Up to Racism in this great city of Newcastle. A city with a proud history of working class unity, of shipyards and solidarity, of communities that look after one another. Newcastle has always been better than racism, better than division, better than the politics of fear. I'm speaking today on behalf of PCS Union, representing tens of thousands of workers across the civil service and beyond. Our members come from every background, every faith, every ethnicity, and we know the simple truth: when racism rises, workers pay the price. Racism is not just hateful words shouted in the street and on social media. It's discrimination at work, it's unequal pay, it's Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-black racism. It's the scapegoating of migrants for a cost of living crisis that they did not cause. It divides communities while letting the powerful off the hook. And let's be clear, when parties like Reform UK try to normalise racism and anti-migrant rhetoric, when they flirt with the language of division and nationalism, we have a duty to call it out. Because history teaches us that when racism is mainstreamed, fascism is never far behind. But here's the good news: Newcastle stands against it. The city stands for solidarity, for trade unionism, for neighbours defending neighbours, for students marching alongside workers, for faith group linking arms with campaigners. That is the Newcastle that I know, and that is the Britain that we know. And the trade union movement will not sit quietly while communities are targeted. PCS members stand for decent jobs, fair pay, and public services that serve everyone, not just the privileged few. We reject the lie that working people must compete with each other based on where they were born or what they look like. And the answer to division is unity. The answer to hate is organised solidarity. And the answer to fascism is collective action. So today we send a message. Racism is not welcome here. Fascism is not welcome here. Division is not welcome here. Newcastle chooses solidarity. Newcastle chooses equality. And Newcastle chooses hope over hate. And as trade unions, as campaigners, as members of this community and great nation, we will keep organising, keep speaking out, and keep standing together until every form of racism is eradicated and defeated. Thank you so much for your time and solidarity from everyone at PCS.
I'm now going to introduce James Kingett from Show Racism the Red Card, which is a fantastic education organisation here in Newcastle. James?
Afternoon, everyone. As we stand here today, the need for anti-racism education has arguably never been as important as it is right now. Communities are being bombarded with harmful narratives about the supposed threat posed to wider society by immigration, which is leading to real-world consequences for people from black and global majority backgrounds that's causing anger, fear and isolation for those perceived to be part of a problem that, if addressed, will solve all of society's issues, including those completely unrelated to immigration. Across society, there are increasing numbers of people who are being emboldened to act in racist and prejudicial ways as a result of the misinformation and the disinformation they're being fed, both by others within their immediate communities and by actors online and in the media who are irresponsible with their language, their ideas and the information they share. Show Racism the Red Card is the UK's leading anti-racism education charity. It was established in January 1996, thanks in part to a donation from then Newcastle United goalkeeper Shaka Hislop. In the last year in the North East, we've delivered anti-racism education workshops and training to over 19,000 individuals, including 12,500 children and young people in schools and education settings, and almost 3,000 adults in their workplaces. This week, I've delivered workshops in North East schools where young people have referenced the statements made by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, containing echoes of language and narrative traditionally used by far-right groups to stir up hate and division, and containing false information about the growth of the population of the UK, appearing to attribute this solely to what he regards as a broken immigration system. The young people in the workshop were citing this as further justification of the ideas and attitudes they're seeing expressed online, often in a completely unregulated way, where prejudicial attitudes and wildly inaccurate information are being presented as facts, and the facts that represent the feelings of the majority of people within society. We know that that's not the reality, and acts of solidarity like the one we're participating in today show the allyship that we can provide to those feeling the effects of the hostile environment that's being created, and demonstrate that there is hope for a society that rejects racism and discrimination and promotes respect, inclusion and love. But we must do more. We must be louder. We must do so in recognition of the manipulation tactics being used to turn people against their fellow human beings, to misdirect and to scapegoat, and to push narratives that not only harm those directly affected by them, but do enormous harm to the very fabric of society in this country and around the world. We must educate others about the effects of this harm and the motivations of those who use their platform to create hate, division, both unintentionally and in some cases with very explicit intention. We must help them recognise the misinformation and to think critically about the damaging rhetoric presented as fact, in order that they can develop the skills and the mindset required to reject these deeply concerning ideas. And here in the North East, to show the true face of our communities, communities where people have long stood side by side to see off the threat of those people who wish to return the UK to a time that never was. In the historic words of Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Show Racism the Red Card will continue to do just that, as we have done for the last 30 years. And I implore those of you standing here today in solidarity to continue to challenge the ideas you know to be dangerous and untrue, both through education and through your outlook and your actions. Thank you.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Show Racism the Red Card. I've got my Show Racism the Red Card band on. I hope people have got my Show Racism the Red Card neckerchief. And when I I'm a retired teacher now. When I started teaching in 1993, 94, I think it was, Jed Greby from Show Racism the Red Card, he came down and said, "Can I come into your classroom?" I think my classroom was one of the first classrooms that had Show Racism the Red Card in it in the North East. And I would highly recommend that if you have children or if you are in a school, get them in, because they do absolutely fantastic work. Workshops, show racism and red card, really, really do. Please get them in. John's standing here at the front with a green bucket, and he's going to come amongst you and shake it, and hopefully you can put some money in there. We need to raise money so we can get people, help people who need to get down to London for the march, to Together March on the 28th of March. So if he's coming around, see if you've got a few coins or a few notes in your pocket you can spare. In terms of I said I was a retired teacher. When I was teaching, it was the National Union of Teachers. It's now the National Education Union. But the late General Secretary, who was the General Secretary when I was teaching, Steve Sinnott, said, "I believe that our union has a moral responsibility to argue against the ideas of racism, fascism that are diametrically opposed to our approach to education, which values every child irrespective of race, colour or creed." And I think that's a message that our union now, my union now, the National Education Union, takes into the classrooms every day of the week. So I'm really, really pleased. Our next speaker is Emma Farthing from the Durham National Education Union. Emma.
Good afternoon, everyone. I bring love, solidarity and hopefully hope to you all on this cold Saturday afternoon from the National Education Union. I've had the privilege of working as a teacher and a support staff member across the North East, working with primary age children and young people with special educational needs. Early in my career, I was teaching in a pit village in Durham, a predominantly white British classroom. One day we were discussing animals and the differences between them. Some have wings, some have a different amount of legs, some have fur and others have feathers, but all of them matter. A small group of children started talking about what made them different. Some liked trucks, whilst others liked dolls. Some loved vegetables, others didn't. Two children joined the conversation. They looked at each other and Kate said, "Me likes pink clothes, I don't." Kate's family were white and her family had lived in the village for generations. Me had moved to the village from China when she was 2. Children don't see colour, religion, disabilities or gender. They see their friend, someone who has interests like them and who helps them when they're sad or they fall over. At times in our lives, we all need support when a crisis hits. It could be a job loss, a fire, or in my case, it was a sudden death of my daughter at the age of 27. My friends, family, union, and community were there. They supported me in my darkest moment. Now let's imagine I'm a mother. I've lost my child. My other children are in danger, and I only have one option: to leave the only home I know and move across the world to a country with different cultures, traditions, and languages. I'm scared. I have no friends. My family are thousands of miles away, and I don't know if they are alive or dead. But I know my children are safe. Or are they? I live in a hotel, and there are men shouting outside every week telling me to go home. I don't have a home anymore. I don't have friends, family, or a community, and I'm scared. I'm here today to tell this family and others like them, we're here. We will be your friend, we will be your family, and we will be your community. I'm going to finish on an adapted version of a saying I have told my own children all their lives. I don't care whether you're white or black, Christian or Muslim, disabled, male, female or non-binary. You can be gay or straight, a bin man or a doctor. Be a good human, be nice, care about others, and I and the NEU members across the country will always have your back and support you in the fight for injustice. We can and do make a difference. Let's all be good humans.
Thank you, Emma. I'm now introducing Neil Denton, who is representing the North East Anti-Racist Coalition, which are a group of people that came together after the riots. And they thought, we have to do something, and this is what they did. Neil?
Neil, that's you.
Morning. Good morning. Oh, that's a long way down. That's better. Good afternoon, Newcastle. Before I start, a big thanks to Stand Up to Racism and Newcastle Unites for showing some love on this Valentine's Day, so thank you to them. We are the North East Anti-Racism Coalition, and we exist because we are living in troubling times. We exist because racism, Islamophobia and anti-Semitism are on the rise. And we are living in a society where we are imprisoned by the walls and echo chambers that we have created by fictitious stories of difference that are used to justify discrimination. Stories of the other as the enemy. Stories that permeate our values, our structures, and our behaviours. And they are stories with real-world implications. Implications where people are attacked because of the colour of their skin or the God that they pray to. Stories that leave us thinking, am I safe? Or are my neighbours a danger to me? So we have a problem. And it's a problem that won't go away if we ignore it. It's a problem that won't go away unless we name it. So it's not enough just to not be a part of the problem. We're here and we exist because we believe that we need to act. We all need to take a part in making the change that we want to see by changing the quality of the connection between us. We are the North East Anti-Racism Coalition, and we are asking you to become the bridge. Because we believe that bridges are important to us. Since the dawn of time, we've come together to cross barriers, build bridges, and thrive on human connection. Because we know deep down that's the route to our happiness and our well-being. It's the bridges that bring us together, that help us to build trust and relationships, and to overcome challenges and create better lives. And we imagine what the world would be if those bridges were better. We want to create wider bridges so that we can see each other as more fully human. We want to create stronger bridges where we can turn connection into collaboration. We want to repair bridges that have been damaged by disagreement and conflict. And we want to create new bridges where those connections are missing. So we are the North East Anti-Racism Coalition, and our mission is to make the North East a region that actively opposes racism and hatred based on religious identity. We want to create a fairer, anti-racist North East by made stronger by the talents of all its people. A North East that's a place where diversity is celebrated, inclusion is the norm, and everyone feels safe and valued. We want to build and energise a visible anti-racist movement. We want to encourage community work and community relationships in neighbourhoods. We want to shift public attitudes through a sustained public awareness campaign. And we want to provide practical support to organisations and institutions. We are the North East Anti-Racism Coalition. There are already 1,000 of us, but to make the change we need thousands more. We are the North East Anti-Racism Coalition, and we need your help. We ask you to sign up, join in, and become the bridge. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. Neil's doing some fantastic work with North East Anti-Racist Coalition across the region, going and organising in communities and talking to people and educating them and getting them to do that sort of thing. I just want a big hand actually to the Woodcraft folk who are here. Fantastic. And Amnesty International, Amnesty are another organisation that are supporting the national demonstration. So thanks to all of those people who are coming down. Our next speaker, really pleased that we've got him here today, because people will know that in our universities there are struggles against pay and pensions. There's strike action at Northumbria and Newcastle, I think, going on at the moment. So we're really pleased to have here Graham Smith, who's the chair of the Northern Region UCU Union. Please give a big hand to Graham.
Thank you. Can we start off by thanking the organisers of today? There's a hell of a lot of work goes into this, so please give a round of applause to the stewards, the organisers and the other people who have made this work. Oh, I need to go right closer to the mic, I'm being told. Matt's giving me orders here as well. I want to begin by saying that UCU, which represents higher and further education, has one of the strongest policies against racism and fascism in this country. And the reason for that is that a third of our members are migrant workers. If they lose their jobs, they lose their homes. That's what's facing our members at the moment in terms of a wave of redundancies going across the country. That's why UCU branches are going into action one at a time. We need to generalise that as a union, but we also want your support as public and fellow trade unionists in our struggle to protect staff. At the moment, we've got two disputes happening, one in Durham over workload and potential redundancies, and another at Northumbria around pensions. And the great pension theft is another way of the employers in the sector taking money out of our pockets. So when you see those picket lines, please go across and talk to our members and show your solidarity. Our policy is to support the national demonstration, and I hope that you will go back to your workplaces and communities and build for that demonstration in London. It is absolutely key that we push back on the fascists and racists who are seeking power in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham, and solidarity, I'm sure, from all of us here to UCU workers who are on strike. OK, I know people are getting a bit cold. It is a bit cold over here. The sun's sort of disappearing behind. We're going to have one more speech, and then we're going to have a bit of music to warm us up again before we have a few more speeches. So before we have Steve Pledger, who's going to be coming on and warming us up with some of his fantastic music, I'm going to ask Janice. She's going to speak on behalf of Women Against the Far Right. So please, a big hand for that, Janice. Thank you.
I speak today as a woman against the far right who has spent many years running a women's refuge and 25 years as a social worker. I've also spent over 40 years as an anti-racist activist. For over a decade, the British far right has claimed the moral high ground on issues of child protection and protecting women, with slogans, speeches and online propaganda. They insist that grooming gangs, paedophilia and rape are imported evils brought to British shores by Muslim men, foreign cultures or refugees. It is a narrative as seductive as it is grotesquely dishonest, simple, racially charged and designed to incite outrage. But the facts tell a different story. I stand here enraged because the far right does not protect women. They claim to, but when exposed to the light of day, the far right's obsession with certain grooming cases is not about protecting women and children at all. It's about weaponising the trauma of victims to inflame racism, distract from systemic failures and obscure the truth about where the majority of abuse actually happens.
Say out loud, with our heads and hearts unbowed. We are brave, we are proud, and we deny that we will not wait our turn, 'cause we have come to learn that opportunity seldom not. Oh, we will not wait our turn. We have come to learn that the more we push, then the harder this boat rocks. Just don't expect much change from the bottom of a ballad box.
Ledger, everybody. Give him a big round of applause. Thank you. And if you hang around till the end of the speakers, he's going to play again, I think, at the end. Now, there's a guy came, did you see the guy came and helped us out with the speakers before, Johnny? He'd like to come up and sing us a poem. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Johnny! Put your hands together for Johnny!
How's it going, Newcastle, you alright? It's an absolute beauty of a day for it, isn't it? Standing out here all cold and that. I'll give you one of me tunes. Globally lonely, home is unhomely. I don't believe in conspiracy. Life's what you make it. Please don't try break it. Seas are living under tyranny. 2 months walkable said. Any society under stress, you could fold them and knead them up like bread. Believe that human beings seem to lose their path with belief in lies. A non-void mass, you know, we're globally lonely. Home is unhomely. Don't believe in conspiracy. Life's what you make it. Please don't try break it. The seats are living under tyranny. Thank you. Hope you all enjoy your afternoon. It's incredibly cold. Do you want another one? Should we take another one? We haven't got time.
At the end, hang around.
No one's allowed time these days.
Hang around that guy. Big hand to Johnny. Thanks for getting up at short notice. If you hang around, we might do some more songs at the end. Okay, before we get our speakers back, one of the speakers that we invited is our really, really good friend and comrade, Heather Wood. People might know she's the chair of the National Women Against Pit Closures, but we've got somebody here who's going to come up and read a statement, a lovely statement that she sent in for us. So I'm going to introduce Alex Summerson, who's another NEU member and teacher, so it's really, really pleased to have her here. Okay, Alex.
Thanks very much, Tony. I'm absolutely honoured to be here and to speak on behalf of Heather Wood. Heather is a phenomenal woman, one of the strongest working class women I've ever met. And if you haven't seen it, go and check out Iron Ladies, the documentary about the women that made the miners' strike possible. Friends, comrades, I'm really sorry I can't be with you in person today. I would much rather be standing shoulder to shoulder with you. I may not be there physically, but I am with you in spirit, and I send total solidarity to you all. Our cause is just. We stand against racism whenever and wherever we see it. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, now. Always, because racism poisons our communities, divides working class people, and distracts from the real struggles we face together. We are also seeing women cynically used as a tool for division by the right, our rights, our safety, our voices twisted to stir fear and hatred. Let's be clear, we don't need those who have never stood with women to suddenly claim that they are our defenders. We know the difference between genuine solidarity and political manipulation. We refuse to be divided. We refuse to let racism dress itself up as protection, and we refuse to let hate speak in our names. We fight for unity. We fight for inclusivity. We fight for a society where everyone, no matter their race, religion, gender or background, is valued and safe. So stand tall today, stand proud, stand together, because when we are united, we are stronger than any force that seeks to divide us. Solidarity and love to you all.
And now we have Karen Weech. I'm very pleased to introduce her from the Majority Against Racism.
Good afternoon, Newcastle. Happy Valentine's Day. What a great day to actually be celebrating love over hate. Friends, neighbours, comrades, thank you for standing here today, shoulder to shoulder, in the proud heart of the North East, a region that has always understood what solidarity really means. We're here with one simple message: no hate, no fear, everyone is welcome here. Because this is who we are. We are Newcastle, we are Sunderland, we are Gateshead, we are the North East, and love, not hate, is the North East way. Today we say clearly, the majority of people in this country reject hate and support equal rights. The majority of people believe in fairness, decency, and standing up for one another. And that includes people who vote differently. It includes people who are frustrated, uncertain, or feel unheard. If we want to change, we must engage people, not shout past them, because division is the weapon for the powerful, and unity is our shield. And that unity must start with us. We know that at the end of September, our last rally exposed disagreements and tensions between local groups. That happens in movements. We are passionate people. But if we are serious about defeating the far right, we cannot allow factions to weaken us. We may differ on strategy, on messaging, on emphasis, but we share common ground, dignity, equality, anti-racism, and a belief that hate has no home here. If we are to fight the far right and stop their poison spreading, then all anti-racist groups in this region must find that common ground and build from it. We do not need uniformity. We need cooperation, we need maturity, and we need solidarity. Because the far right thrives when we fragment. They weaken when we stand together. Yesterday was also a reminder that democracy matters. It was a good day for democracy when the High Court ruled that Palestine Action should not have been prescribed as a terrorist organisation. Whatever people's views are, the principle matters. Protest cannot simply be silenced. The rule of law must protect dissent. I also want to recognise the important work of People Against Raphael here in our city. They are rooted in care and courage, challenging Pearson Engineering, an Israeli government-owned company operating here in our city. Grassroots action like that reminds us that ordinary people can hold power to account. But we must all confront the lies. Migrants are not taking over Britain. They're building Britain. 1 in 7 NHS workers was born overseas. Refugees are not flooding this country. They make up less than 0.1% of the population. The real crisis is inequality. More than 1 in 5 people in the UK live in poverty. That's 14 million people. That is not caused by refugees. That is the result of political choice. Don't blame refugees, tax the billionaires. Here in the North East, we know community, from Irish workers who built our railways, to Yemeni seafarers on the Tyne, to Syrian and Ukrainian families building their lives again today. Migration is our history, it is our culture, it is our strength. Newcastle is a city of sanctuary, and we defend that with action. When the far right say send them back, we say it's hate, not our neighbours, that doesn't belong here. Don't spread hate. We need to educate, because education matters. Culture matters. Shared spaces matter. If we want a different future, we must invest in schools,
in youth work, arts, sport, and the places where people meet as humans, not headlines. So today, let's recommit, not just to rallying, but to organising, from Tyneside to Teesside, Wearside to Northumberland, a movement that may debate but does not fracture, a movement rooted in dignity, equality, hope and love. Let this be our message. We will not be divided. We will not be ruled by fear. We choose unity on Valentine's Day. We choose unity and humanity every day. Love, not hate. That's the North East way. Thank you, Newcastle. Solidarity now and always. Free Palestine!
Thanks, Karen. Love, not hate. And it's good that you mentioned, they drew attention to the cost of living crisis as a big driver of the reason that people are getting disillusioned with the political parties, and some people are turning to reform. We had to make sure that people know the messages that we need to do that. So please welcome our next speaker. I don't know, we'll just wait for a brief interruption.
Mention the late racist Labour government.
Okay, our next...
Forcing austerity. It's Labour that's repressing people's country. Won't let us speak on the microphone.
Are we finished? Okay, so our next speaker, please give a big hand for Martin Levy, who's the President of Newcastle Trades Council. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for the invitation to speak, and thanks to all of you for coming today, and solidarity from Newcastle upon Tyne Trades Union Council. This today is just the first step. We're here to stand up to the far right, to start the process of building an alliance that must reach into every community, into every street. Newcastle Trades Council, registered with the Trade Union Congress, is the local forum for trade union branches in the city, and we signed up early to the Together Alliance. With some 200 trade unions, campaigns and community organisations involved, it's a vital and very broad initiative. Embedded as the Trades Council is in workplaces and communities, we understand that racism is a tool which is used to divide workers into fighting against each other instead of fighting the common enemy, employers and the capitalist class as a whole. And this tool has been waged relentlessly over the past decade or so by politicians and the media, blaming migrants as responsible for all the ills of society. And we have many ills: stagnating wages, rising unemployment, inadequate housing, disappearing local government services, long NHS waiting lists, a crisis in NHS dentistry with people having to pull out their own teeth, to name but a few. But migrants get the blame. When I was leafleting last Saturday for this event, I was accosted by a person who said he'd been homeless for 11 years and it was all because of the migrants. No, and you know this, that's not the reason. There aren't enough council homes for rent being built, and that's because successive governments haven't provided the funding. Likewise, the NHS, local government services, and in public investment that create jobs. The funding hasn't been provided by governments. Both Labour and Conservative governments, going back decades to before the credit crunch of 2008, have resisted taxing the super rich. In fact, there's plenty of money to fund public services and investment, but it's in the wrong hands. We have politicians who are mesmerised by wealth. Back in 1998, then new Labour Minister Peter Mandelson said, "We are intensely relaxed about people getting filthy rich as long as they pay their taxes." By 2012, he indicated he was no longer intensely relaxed, being more concerned about rising inequality and the downsides of globalisation. But his continued association with certain wealthy individuals rather undermines his supposed change of heart. And he's not alone among politicians in their attitude towards the filthy rich. Besides, the tax system is so structured that the super wealthy can find ways around it, such as offshore tax havens in the Bahamas, or moving to Monaco, as did billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who shut down the Grangemouth oil refinery last year with the loss of 400 jobs. And he has the gall to say, you can't have an economy with 9 million on benefits and huge levels of immigrants coming in. I mean, the UK is being colonised. Let's hope that the Football Association deem him unsuitable and unfit to own Manchester United FC. But we could do with having a government that would take wealth off people like him. As NEU General Secretary Daniel Cabede said, we don't have an immigration problem, we have a billionaire problem. Unfortunately, we have across Britain millions of people who feel let down and marginalised by politicians and who are being manipulated by the far right. Is it any wonder how much support there was in our communities for Operation Raise the Colours last year? We have a twin danger of fascist mobilisation on the streets and the potential of a far-right Reform UK government. And both Tommy Robinson and some Reform UK MPs have received donations from seriously wealthy people. And so we have a big job to do. It's essential that we mobilise over 100,000 people for the London demonstration on 28th of March to demoralise the fascists and show that Britain is not a racist society. And we have to continue to mobilise against local fascist rallies. But we also have to slow and reverse the popularity of Reform UK, splitting away from them voters who experience social and economic insecurity and who desire for things to get better. We need to expose Reform for what they are, a bunch of extreme Tories led by a city banker who have nothing in common with their voter base. If they get in the next general election, they will repeal the Employment Relations Act, which has just been brought in, slash public services and privatise the NHS. At work and in communities, we need to engage people in difficult conversations about what the far-right threat means. Today is the first step. March the 28th is the second, but that can't be the end of it. We're fighting for the democratic soul of this country, and with your participation, together, we shall win. Solidarity.
And now we have somebody who's travelled up from London to be with us today. We've got Stand Up to Racism National Speaker Andy Browner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everybody who's turned out today, because it is so important that we get people out on the streets and that we show unity. Never has there been a time in my lifetime or in recent history when the world has felt so dangerous and so perilous as it does at the moment. Whether it's economy collapsing, whether it's war in Ukraine, the threat of the invasion of Greenland, the kidnapping of a president of Venezuela, never has the situation felt so dangerous and unstable as it does right now. And who has been the cause of this, and who are the main beneficiaries of this? Well, politically, what do we see? We see Farage on the verge of sweeping up in the local elections. Meloni, the fascist, already in power in Italy. The AfD in Germany. And in the White House, Donald Trump, who unleashes onto the streets his fascist army in ICE to intimidate and arrest people from migrant backgrounds. That is the world that we currently live in. That is the world that we're having to negotiate at the moment. That's why it's so important that we do the things that we're doing today, that we stand outside the hostels with refugees, that we counter the Tommy Robinson demonstrations, the Tenconi demonstrations like he did in Newcastle not very long ago. We've got to show opposition, and we've got to show who the real enemy is. I mean, it can be very demoralising when you open your phone and you look at TikTok or Facebook, when you turn on the TV, because the most dominant narrative is a racist narrative. It's a divisive narrative. But what do we know now? We've been told that there are people coming over here to exploit our women, exploit our children, and abuse people. We now know that to be true. But it's not people in small boats who are doing that. It's people who come on jets paid for by billionaires, by people like Epstein and Elon Musk. Elon Musk is in there. Who's in the Epstein files? It's not migrants. It's not trans people. It's not lefties. The people in the Epstein files are billionaires and millionaires. People like Elon Musk. And yes, people like Nigel Farage, we've only got 2% of the Epstein files, and he's already in there 40 times. And we know Tommy Robinson's in there as well. Why has he fled the country? Says he feels under threat. Probably feels under threat because he knows what's coming. He knows what's in there. Him and all his friends are in the Epstein files. They are the real abusers. The ruling class have abused women and children for generations. It's no coincidence. They don't come on rubber boats, they come in private jets. That's the reality of the situation. And we've got to point that out, but we've got to create the maximum unity. And I want to give a big, massive thanks to everybody here. Everybody's done what we've done up and down the country in the last year. But there's one group of people we really need to thank. That's the people of Minnesota. The people of Minnesota have shown how it's done. That's what Farage wants to do. He wants to set up ICE-style units to expel people physically from this country. And if he gets into power, we'll have to resist like the people of Minnesota. We'll have to look out for our neighbours. We'll have to protect our neighbours. But most importantly, we'll have to use the real power in society, which was unleashed in Minnesota, and that's the power of the working class, the trade unions, because that's the real reason. That is the real reason why Trump has had to withdraw from Minnesota, because our class has started to move. Who'd have believed that the revolution against the right would start in the United States of America? Who'd have believed that? But it has. And we've got to recreate that here. We've got to pull the people out on the streets here. And the 28th of March, I don't think we can exaggerate how important the 28th of March is, not just for Britain, for what goes on around the world. Already in America, they're planning themselves for the 28th of March to be a No King's Day. We know that other parts of Europe are already planning for that day as well. It can look something like it did back in 2003 when we marched across the world against the war. We're going to be, on the 28th, we're going to be marching against racism, division, and against the right. Never has there been a coalition put together like we have put together for the 28th of March. The trade unions, the Greens, your party, sections of the left, all the NGOs, Idris Elba, Lenny Henry, Paloma Faith, we can put 150,000 people on the streets of London. I believe that. I was there when Robinson put his 100,000 on the streets of London. That was not a nice experience to be there or to watch that. What we want to create for Farage and Robinson is the same experience. When they turn on their telly, open up their phone on the 28th of March, we want to see hundreds of thousands of people on the streets of London. Trade unionists, Greens, trans activists, anti-racist activists, disability activists, everybody who is under threat from the far right, the environmentalists and everybody else. We need to be on the streets of London. We can turn the tide against the far right, and we can turn the tide against this rotten system that breeds them as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you very, very much. That is a really key message today. It's about building the unity and getting as many people out into the streets of London on the 28th as we possibly can. It was very scary last September. September the 13th, wasn't it, when those hundreds of thousands of fascists marched behind Tommy Robinson on the streets of London. We need to make sure that we mobilise our anti-racist majority and show them that we can get more of us out on the streets than they can. There are placards going around today here. If you can grab hold of those, as many people as possible. Before we finish, we'll get people to hold them up and we'll do a photograph. There's also the green bucket here, still waiting for donations if anybody's got donations. And we're going to move swiftly on to our next speaker. Really pleased to have some young people represented here. Please welcome Will Ford from Newcastle University students.
Hello, hello, Newcastle. I want to start with a chant. Newcastle United will never be defeated. 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 Woo-woo! So my name is Will. I'm a student at Newcastle University. I wanted to start by asserting that Newcastle Uni is first and foremost defined by a diverse community of staff and students from a variety of different backgrounds. Much like the uni, Newcastle has always been a city built on diversity and multiculturalism, features which are woven into the fabric of what defines this country and its culture. In the UK, the far right is gaining momentum every day, and in the far right is gaining momentum every day, and as they grow, they peddle lies that threaten to tear apart our society. The uneducated misrepresentation of marginalised communities, including asylum seekers and refugees, benefit seekers, and the LGBTQ+ community, is a threat to our society, is a popular narrative used by the far right. Just one instance of this has been the false portrayal by far-right fanatics of asylum seekers as a threat to women and children and a strain on our economy. Ironically, almost half of the convicted far-right rioters in 2024 were also previously convicted for crimes of domestic violence abuses. Not to mention, the Office for Budget Responsibility reported that immigrants paid £140 billion in tax in 2025 in the UK. Not only do these lies spread a message of hate and fear, but also they are a tool used by the far right to distract ordinary people from the truth that our system is failing. Successive governments influenced by profit and a wealthy elite have prioritised and promoted inequality, poverty and insecurity. An NHS on its knees, wages and benefits cut and stagnated, minority groups constantly under threat, all while billionaires who take an active role in pioneering the far right remain undertaxed and above the law. Shame on them. This list of shortcomings is hardly exhaustive, but these inequalities are not the fault of marginalised communities who make an easy target of scapegoating. Rather, they are failures of an unjust system. These narratives must be challenged and fought. If left unchallenged, power-seeking groups like Reform UK, Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson can use this misinformation to grow and push the politics of hate and fear. In 2025, Reform UK's manifesto included limiting access to legal abortions in the UK, forced deportations of legal migrants back to France, and the banning of what the manifesto defines as trans ideology in all schools. Without real action and solidarity, this threatens to be the beginning of a monumental backslide towards fascism. As individuals, it can often feel helpless, but united, every single person here can play a crucial role in fighting back against the far right. Speak with your unions, join local movements, organise, march, protest, have the difficult conversations with family members and friends. If we act now, united as a community, we can stop the far right and show Reform UK that there is no place for hate in Newcastle and there is no place for hate in this country. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Now we've got John Wally, who comes from Keep Our NHS Public North East, a very important cause.
Hi everyone, hi. It's great to be here for us all to stand up and be counted today. So I'm John from the campaign group Keep Our NHS Public North East. So we've been campaigning here in the North East since 2010. And we stand for a publicly provided, publicly funded, comprehensive NHS which is accessible to everybody. So we're against the privatisation of the NHS. and we're against ongoing cuts to the health services. So we're made up of all members of the public, including many nurses and doctors and other NHS staff. And so we're here today, Newcastle unites. Fantastic. Today we celebrate the great contribution that people from abroad make to our society here in the UK. And we celebrate the contribution that they make to the NHS in particular. And it's simply not true that migration harms our NHS. And today, very briefly, I'd like to give you 3 pieces of information. So first of all, the NHS, as we see it today, would collapse without the workers from abroad. Overall, around 1 in 5, that's 20%, of all NHS staff were born outside the UK. 35% of doctors come from abroad. 27% of nurses and health visitors are from abroad. And those are the government's own statistics. So without these people and without their expertise, it's very clear what would happen. Staff shortages in the NHS would be far worse, and the quality of care would be diminished. And without workers from abroad, the crisis in our NHS would be deepened. Now we know that there's issues around this. We need to support other countries in developing their own health services and training their own staff. But coming back to the UK, here, migrants are not an optional add-on. They're essential and they need to be welcomed. And if you go up the road there to A&E, you'll see a lot of people there from overseas. But these people are more likely to be treating you rather than waiting in the queue for treatment. And to these people, and to everyone who works in the NHS, we say thank you. We hear, but what about those undocumented migrants? There's a myth which is often fueled by some papers or social media or some politicians that undocumented migrants are draining our NHS. Obviously, this is false. The reality is that under current laws, they're only entitled to urgent care and some GP care. Hospitals must charge patients for non-urgent care if they don't have a visa. We also know that some people avoid care because of the cost, and some people avoid care because of a risk of deportation. By the way, we don't think this is right. The UK can afford to provide health care free at the point of need, and that this should include undocumented people seeking safety and security here in the UK. But the fact remains, there is no huge drain on health resources by undocumented migrants. That is a myth. The third bit of information I'd like to give is about human rights, and let's get this right. If you're an asylum seeker, then you have a legal right to seek safety. Therefore, no asylum seeker here in the UK is illegal. Providing asylum, providing protection is our moral duty. If you want to look at it like this, there's also an economic benefit. If you want to look at it like this, after being granted leave to remain, working-age refugees contribute to the economy when they find work and begin to pay taxes, and around 2/3 of people granted leave to remain are of working age. So that's 3 bits of information. The NHS will collapse without people from abroad. Undocumented migrants pay for non-urgent care, and there's a legal and a moral duty to provide asylum. So at KOMP North East, Keep Our NHS Public North East, we believe in healthcare for everyone, and there needs to be no borders in our NHS. So, to wrap up, we need to share these facts. We need to share this love on Valentine's Day. We need to celebrate the contribution of migrants. So we've got 1,000 of these leaflets which spell out the facts that I've just spoken about. So people are in the crowd here giving these out. Please take a number of these. Please make sure you pass these on to your friends and your contacts. And we need to share these facts because they are facts, and we need to stop the racist scapegoating of people from other countries. And the last thing, and people have said it already, and I think you can guess what we're going to say. It's great that you're here today. It says a lot about you. But can I also ask for one last thing? That you and your friends are in London on Saturday the 28th of March for the rally against the far right. And also, if I might just say one thing about that, it's no good thinking that your next door neighbour or that person at work or that person standing next to you here will be going to London. They may be thinking, okay, I'll give it a miss, maybe next time. They may be thinking that. You might be thinking that. But we need you there. We do need you there in London, 28th of March, to stand up for what is right. We all need to be there. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Great message. I'm just going to do a chant. While I'm doing that, I'm going to ask everybody to hold up any placards or posters they've got, and so a few people are here are going to be taking some photographs. And while we're doing that, we're going to do say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Without our refugees and our migrants, our NHS would collapse. Thank you, John, for that contribution. I'm looking for Jane Byrne. Is Jane here? Is Jane here? She was due to be speaking, but if she's not here, and she might pop back in a minute, and I'll ask her to come up. But if not, I'm going to introduce Andy Walker to come up and speak to you next. Andy is with your party, North East, and he's also Secretary of Newcastle NUJ. Please give a big hand to Andy. Thank you.
Thanks very much, comrades and friends. I bring solidarity on behalf of your party and the 7 candidates who are currently standing in our elections for our current leadership committee of our organisation. I think today has shown that Newcastle and the North East wants to come together to fight the evil of racism and xenophobia. We have come together today to issue a statement in a united stand against the dark forces of the far right, because unity is what we need in this fight. As members of your party, we stand totally united against the likes of Reform, other far-right groups, and all those who seek to divide our communities by propagating the politics of hate. When we stand together in solidarity, as we have done today, as we will do tomorrow, as we will do in March for the demonstration in London, we're powerful. We will call out the politics of division whenever and wherever it raises its head. And that means all division. Your party is proudly inclusive of all. We stand firm in the fight for women's liberation, trans liberation, and in support of all those who face oppression, bigotry, and discrimination. United we stand, divided we fall. We should never forget that strong trade union maxim. It's crucial that we also advocate for political issues that address the root causes that attract our friends and neighbours to the fallacies, lies and distortions of the far right. Farage and his cronies, they don't have any solutions to the deep-seated challenges and issues facing our communities up and down this region or across the country as a whole. And the fact that his party, his ragtag and bobtail outfit, is now resorting to bringing on board failed Tory ministers and MPs who've created many of those problems in the first place shows you how utterly bankrupt they are as an organisation. They have no answers to the problems that we face in this country. And I have to say, unfortunately, Labour is little better as they are aping the policies of Farage with their anti-immigrant rhetoric and their support for genocide in Gaza. No wonder people are turning away from the party in their thousands and seeking an alternative. We must unite our communities against reform and the politics of hate. We reject all scapegoating of migrants, Muslims and refugees. They are not to blame for the problems that we face. The blame lies at the door of bankrupt politicians with no solutions to their failing economic system that forces people into poverty, creates widening inequality and saddles our youth with a lifetime of debt. And these politicians are not just bankrupt, they're also corrupt, as we see from the Epstein scandal. And they're also in hock to vested interests. They've been bought and paid for by corporations and billionaires who make millions from war. And therefore it's in their interest to keep us divided in hate and not united for peace. Our fight isn't just left versus right. It's the people versus the ruling class in this country and internationally. And I'm really glad and proud that people on this platform today have talked about the solidarity actions that are taking place around the world and especially in the United States of America, because Donald Trump does not represent the people of America. They're better than that and we're better than that. So let's say no to the failed policies of division. We're calling time on an economic system as well that simply does not work for the majority of people in this country. Enough is enough. Let's unite and come together and build something different. A society where unity, hope and solidarity are the norm and where we all come together to build that solidarity amongst each other and build that mutual support in our communities. Not just to defeat the far right, but to build a better country and a better world for all of us. Solidarity, our time will come.
And now we have the... Get in closer, Janice. Right. We now have the co-chair of Gateshead Greens, Rachel Cabral.
Hello. If you'll indulge me, I'm going to take us over the water to Gateshead. Is anyone here from Gateshead? So this next bit is going to be called Love Gateshead Too, not just Newcastle, and Hate Racism. Can I walk you through my country that I have lived in for over 60 years? In 1968, Enoch Powell delivered his infamous and disgusting anti-immigration Rivers of Blood speech. I was 5 and growing up in the diverse London borough of Lambeth, in Brixton and in Streatham. My childhood, growing up in the 60s and 70s, was worlds away from the dystopian world that Powell was envisaging. I remember our Indian neighbours coming to us for Christmas dinner, and likewise my mum and their mum making chapatis on the patio. My best friend at primary school was from an East European Jewish family, and my best friend at secondary was from Goa in India. This may have been prescient, as decades later I married a Goan man. I have a mixed-race marriage, as does my daughter, and I will have mixed-race grandchildren. This was my country in the 60s and 70s, respecting all cultures, celebrating together, celebrating differences, and celebrating similarities. During the mid-80s, I moved to the northeast, where I've lived all of my adult life. First of all in Bensham, but most of that time in first of all in Benwell, but most of that time in Bensham in Gateshead. If you've never been to Coatsworth Road in Bensham, treat yourself next Monday morning. I could talk about all of the wonderful food choices: Caribbean, kosher, Carolan, Sri Lankan, Kurdish, Persian. But as wonderful and rich and as life-enhancing as food is, that's not what I want to talk about. This is the magic. Go into Adam's Continental Foods on the corner of Sedgwick Place and Coatsworth Road, where at any one moment there are people standing around the counter from many parts of the world, joshing each other about world politics, helping each other with practical advice about landlord trouble, and helping other customers to choose exactly the right fresh piece of ginger, and offering a recipe in which to cook it from their culture. This is my country. It is not a river of blood. I do understand that this is not everyone's version of UK. Somehow racism is being normalised. People are being emboldened, and they are sleepwalking into the world that bad actors are creating. They are listening to the loud voices of GB News, the right-wing press, living in their social media echo chambers, and Reform UK are legitimising racism with the spread of fear and the scapegoating of anyone who they deem to be other. But I have some hope. We and my colleagues in Gateshead Greens are door-knocking every weekend, listening to the lived experiences of as many residents in Gateshead as we can. And what we are hearing is hopeful. People are telling us that people putting up flags in the neighbourhood do not represent them. We witness beautiful acts of empathy and neighbourliness to and from asylum seekers and refugees. We can all counteract and drown out those loud voices from the hateful, and we can continue to live in the amazing version of my country that I have experienced through 7 decades.
Thank you, Rachel. Really, really good to have the Greens represented here. Next speaker, I'm going to move on quickly through the last few speakers because I don't want you to get too cold. We've got a bit of music coming on at the end and something else we'd like to ask you to do. Our next speaker is Hilton Dalston. Hilton is from New Biggin by the Sea. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Family History Centre. But he's also been absolutely central to getting Northumberland County Council to be recognised as a Northumberland County of Sanctuary. So really, please give a big hand to Hilton.
Thanks very much, Tony. Goodness, I used to be a Labour MP. My goodness. I'm now a member of your party. But I spend most of my time doing family history and supporting people who are seeking asylum in the working class communities of Northumberland. And got some stories from that that I want to share with people today. The first story is a good one for Valentine's Day, and I just want to share with you a real romantic story about just over 100 years ago when me granny and me grandad were married in secret in New Biggin by the Sea, and they took the train to Newcastle and they climbed up Gray's Monument and looked out over the city. After that, they went back home, unemployed in the 1930s. My grandfather borrowed Mein Kampf from Newbigin Library, and he always said that Hitler had...
We can keep demanding accountability and keep standing with survivors. As I have said, in Newcastle, far-right demonstrations against asylum seekers being housed in a hotel have now taken place every week for over 6 months. Not once, not spontaneously, but repeatedly and deliberately. These protests are part of a national campaign spreading false claims about the people inside that hotel. Lies about criminality and danger aimed at some of the most vulnerable people in this country. People who are waiting for decisions, people who are not allowed to work, people who have fled war, persecution and trauma. But that is not the whole story, because there is also resistance and there is solidarity. There has been a counter demonstration every single week. And that local resistance connects to something bigger, because the far right organises nationally and internationally. The response to it must do the same. We can change things together. The voice of unity can grow stronger. We can show that strength lies in solidarity, that the change we need comes from us working together for hope, not despair, for unity, not racism. Together we can reject narratives of division and racism. Together we can build solidarity across communities. Together we can unite against the far right. The Together Alliance is made up of hundreds of organisations and hundreds of individuals coming together to say enough is enough. We are holding a major demonstration in London on the 28th of March, bringing together people from across the country to show that the politics of intimidation do not speak for the majority. Stand Up to Racism and Newcastle Unites are organising transport from Newcastle to this. Please visit our stall, get involved, join us.
Thank you, Janice. Absolutely ironic that they stand around there talking about women's rights and attacks on women's when they're clearly they're the haters. It might be a good idea. If people want to huddle together a bit, we might get a bit warmer, because actually we will get warmer now, because I'm really, really pleased to introduce Steve Pledger. As people have seen him before. I know he's a fantastic singer anyway. He does some brilliant music, got several of his CDs, but he's also driven by rage against hatred and against racism. So he's really, really fired up for coming down today and being with us and singing us one or two songs. So please put your hands together for Steve Pledger. Thank you. And whilst he's singing, the green bucket's going round again, and you could throw a few quid in there to help us with the funding for London on the 20th.
Yes, here we go. All right. As always, it's a mixed bag of feelings being somewhere like this, because you're glad to be with people, but also conscious that we shouldn't have to be here at all. And also, you have to play around with the volume on your guitar a lot. I'm all for exercising our right to vote. It's important we do that. But I also think that it's on the streets where the heart of democracy beats the loudest. And having everybody out here today, feet and voices together, that's what it's all about. And we shouldn't let anybody else tell us otherwise. This is called Lefty, Wait Your Turn. Make a song, don't make a dance, don't make a fuss, 'cause you had your chance. Democracy has spoken loud and clear. All is said now. We're all both people. We're all both people. We're all both people. All together now. We're all both people. We're all both people. Yep. We're all both people.
rocking the boat. All right, well done, thank you.
Another teacher, will you believe? No! We're blessed, we're blessed. Before Steve comes on, put your banners and placards up, we're going to have another photo op, and then Steve's coming on.
The people who stand against him, the people of Minneapolis, the good people of America, you guys out on the streets today, that's what this song is about. It's about the people against whom we are standing. It's called And the People Sang. I'd love it if you join in on the chorus with me, please. And so this is in solidarity with everybody in this country, in the US and around the world. He came for the disillusioned and for the easily led. He came to use and abuse them, leave them for dead. He picked the scars of the wounded till they freely bled, and he promised to heal them, but stood there laughing instead. And the people sang, oh, the people, they sang, sang, sang. That's the little bit, let's try it. And the people sang, and the people, they sang, sang, sang. And he swore to restore to the nation its land, back from the suits on the hill. All the people, they sang, sang, sang. And he mocked Kowaleski for the whole world to see, in an astonishing show of inhumanity and inglorious insight into what ought to be. Proof enough of his heart for diversity. And the people sang,